Hello there, everyone. I am Amanda. My marriage actually began crumbling when my husband Darren randomly came home from work one day and said, I have quit my job. Amanda, what? What are you talking about? Why did you quit? The job was becoming too stressful for me, Amanda. So I quit it. Actually, I stepped down from my position and took another job. Wait, that means you are taking a pay cut, right? Unfortunately, yes, Amanda. My salary will be decreased by 30%. My mind was reeling with all this information. I had no idea that Darren had quit his job, let alone found a new one. In a bizarre twist of events, he ended up taking a huge pay cut that would significantly affect our household. The main problem was that he had recently bought himself a house. He was the only one on the house deed and was supposed to pay the mortgage alone because he made much more money than me. With his pay cut, I had no idea how he would be able to manage that. Also, I should mention that he had 2 kids from his past relationship. The twins lived with us full time, so there were extra expenses for them as well. I was really concerned about all these things. I said, oh God, Darren, what were you thinking? We have a mortgage and kids. How will we manage everything? I made the calculations, Amanda. I will be able to pay most of the mortgage as long as you contribute some money to it as well. But for the rest, you will have to step up and take charge of the household. Things will be very tight, Darren. I don't think you will have much money left after the mortgage, which is why you will be the breadwinner for now while I look for a better job. I can pay the mortgage and the kids' expenses, but you would have to take care of the rest, Amanda. I was really annoyed with Darren because he had made such a big decision without my input. We did have a big fight about the way he navigated things and just expected me to be okay with the new arrangements. Darren apologized, but it didn't change the reality. What was done, and I needed to accept it because there was no other way. So I became the primary breadwinner of the house, and took up some extra shifts at work to make ends meet. I also had to contribute $1,000 to the mortgage payments because he couldn't even afford to pay it full anymore. Soon I found myself paying for more and more things since Darren rarely had money for household expenses. He paid for the mortgage, kids' school, and gas, but that was it. I was the one paying all the utilities of the house and making sure that the kids had everything they needed. Darren also stopped helping out with his kids and expected me to do everything for them. Apparently, he was tired after work and wasn't mentally in the best place. I was already overworking myself with extra shifts and taking care of the house along with the kids. The kids' mom lived far away, so it wasn't possible for her to help. I had begged Darren to at least ask his parents for some help, but he refused. Now, this is where I should introduce Kelly. Kelly is my mother-in-law. I won't be mentioning my father-in-law because he is not that relevant. He mostly kept to himself and didn't cause me any trouble, but that can't be said about his mother. Kelly is an absolutely horrible mother-in-law who always looked down on me, but then again, she did that to everyone, so ever since I married Darren, she kept telling us that Darren deserved a better woman. Apparently, I wasn't good enough for her precious son. I mostly kept my mouth shut because my husband practically worshipped her. That's exactly what he made me promise not to tell his mother about his recent decisions. Apparently, that would disappoint his mother and he couldn't have that happening. So Kelly and my father-in-law remained in the dark about what was going on in our house. I kept my promise and never told them anything. I was drowning in work and responsibilities at home and thought that there was no relief in sight. But God sent me help in the most unexpected way. One day, Kelly visited me when I was alone with the kids. As I was enjoying some coffee after a long workday, Kelly said in a snarky tone, I can't believe how much of a burden my son had to shoulder. Amanda, I don't understand, Kelly. What burden are you talking about? It's just his family that Darren needs to worry about. There is literally me and the kids, Kelly. The kids are kids. What can we do about them? They are supposed to be dependent on us. But it's a shame that some full-grown adults can't even pay their own way in this world. I was pretty confused by what Kelly was saying. I knew that she was talking about me in that last part. I am not that dumb that I wouldn't realize that. It's just that I didn't expect her to express her thoughts out loud. Darren had been effectively keeping his family away from the news of his financial trouble. So I knew that Kelly thought my husband was still the breadwinner of the house. Still, she had no right to talk about me that way, even though she hadn't taken names yet. For some reason, I wanted her to spell it out for me clearly. So I said, Amanda, "Excuse me, Kelly, what is that supposed to mean?" "I'm just saying that you could always do better for the household. My son is working himself to the bone to support this ridiculous lifestyle you have." "I assure you, Kelly, we live within our means, and I am perfectly capable of paying for myself. I think my contribution is fair around here." "Oh, please, Amanda, don't you have any shame? Are you really calling it a fair contribution?" "Why not, Kelly? I look after the house and pay money for the mortgage. Just paying $1,000 for the mortgage doesn't change how useless you are, Amanda. You are and always will be a failure." There it was, guys. Kelly was saying exactly what I thought she would say. I won't lie here and tell you that I was shocked or stunned by her audacity. I wasn't a little girl. I knew that Kelly never had a favorable opinion of me from the very beginning. The fact that Darren had almost single-handedly bought us a house simply added fuel to the fire. Kelly had been criticizing me for a while, and I simply got conditioned to it. But that day, I felt like raging at her. I was mad at her for calling me unless and a failure. I was also mad at Darren for landing us in this mess in the first place. My husband didn't want his dear mother to find out that he had been fired and was barely able to maintain a roof over his head. His male ego wouldn't let him come clear to his mother in fear that she would consider him a failure. It was a pretty sad situation for him, but it was pretty unfair for me to take the brunt of his actions. It was unfair that his family was calling me useless. Darren had never bothered to stand up to them for me. So, it was always me who was told to look the other way. He never had a spine and didn't even have the guts to clear my name to his stupid mother. I can't tell you guys how pissed off and hurt I was. It was like all those emotions were playing in my mind together. I blamed Darren and my stupid mother-in-law for what happened next. I was burnt out and tired after being the primary breadwinner and almost the sole caretaker of my stepkids. Despite everything I did for the family, I was still called useless. I wanted to yell at Kelly while telling her how wrong she was, but I didn't even have the energy to do that. I simply looked at her and said, "You have no idea what you are talking about, Kelly." "Oh, I am pretty sure I know what I am talking about. I see my son waste away his energy at work while all you do is pursue your stupid hobby." "It's not a stupid hobby, Kelly. I am a professional and I earn well. In fact, I contribute a lot to this household. I even take care of the kids most of the time. That's not a big deal. You are the stepmother, so you should be looking after your stepchildren. You know what you signed up for." "Yes, I know what I signed up for, but I didn't sign up for be called unless and a failure when I was almost killing myself from work." "Oh, please. You don't even do much. And your contribution to the house is nothing. $1,000 is nothing. The house is not even clean, and you make me pick up the kids from school sometimes. So it's not like you are doing a good job with the household. I can do so much better." The moment Kelly said that, a light bulb went off in my head. My mother-in-law always loved to talk about how she struggled to take care of her house with an absent husband. While my father-in-law hadn't abandoned them, he had a job that needed frequent traveling, so it was just my mother-in-law taking care of the household and raising Darren. But the catch is that she never had to work hard because my father-in-law makes a lot of money. Darren's grandmother often stayed over to watch him while Kelly took a break. Yes, she did do some baking at the side, but the money was always put into her own pocket, so she had no idea what it was like to work a 9-to-5 job and then take care of 2 kids single-handedly. Still, she always considered herself better than everyone else. I looked at Kelly and saw the proud woman she was. She was looking down at me because she thought that she was much better than me. I wanted to laugh in her face due to my absurd position. I couldn't just tell Darren the truth because I had made a promise to him. No matter what. I consider myself a woman of my word, so I wasn't going to shell out the truth to Kelly easily. Besides, what's the fun in that, right? Anyway, just because I didn't want to spill the truth in my own words, that doesn't mean I wasn't in the mood to teach Kelly a lesson. Like I said, I was tired of her baseless accusations and patronizing comments. I desperately wanted to do something to shut her up. So I decided to poke her a little, saying, "Are you really sure about that, Kelly?" "Sure about what, Amanda? Do you really think that you can do better than me?" "Of course I can do better than you. I am a pro at managing the household. This place would have been better off if I was in charge of it. I am pretty sure that you don't even do the bare minimum." "Is that so, Kelly?" "Somehow, I don't believe you can do a better job than me." "Oh, please, Amanda. Don't even compare yourself to me. You have nothing on my skills." "I am not useless like you. I can replace you and still do a better job." "Those are just words, Kelly. I have never actually seen you do anything substantial. Darren moved out long ago, and even my father-in-law is home and helps you out a lot, just like a good husband. You have no idea what you are talking about. I am an expert at running the household. You are no match for me." "Will believe it when I see it with my eyes. Until then, these are just words, Kelly." Kelly looked like I had offended her a lot. She took great pride in the fact that she is an expert at running the household. When I questioned her claims, she didn't like it one bit. I could tell that my nonchalance at her supposed skills was making her mad. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted her to be mad and try to prove herself. And boy, she fell into the trap head first. She looked super annoyed and said, "You know what? I can prove myself to you. Not that I should, but I want to. I want to wipe that smug smile off your face." "Oh, I would love to see you make good on those promises, Kelly. I really do want to see how capable you are. And you will see it, Amanda. I will show you that I can run your household better than you. You can just leave and stay somewhere else for a month. Let me run the house and show you how things are done. Maybe then you will realize what a useless woman you are." Like I said, Kelly fell right into my trap. My competitive mother-in-law was dying to prove her point. I knew how she could get when someone challenged her words or her authority. I didn't even have to do much to make her fall into my trap. All I did was express some doubts about her capabilities. The rest is completely on Kelly. After all, I didn't suggest anything. She's the one who wants a chance to prove herself. While I was laughing inside my head, on the outside, I kept a doubtful face. I said, "That's a great idea, Kelly. Maybe you will be able to prove your point this way, but are you really sure about this?" "What's the matter, Amanda? Are you scared that Darren will finally realize what a burden you are and leave you after this little experiment?" I have my doubts about a lot of things, but then again, you really don't have to do this." "Oh, I absolutely have to do this. I have to prove myself and show my son that he deserves better. This absolutely needs to be done. So you will shut your mouth and leave so that I can get this messy household back in order." "As you wish, Kelly, but you will have to tell my husband that this was your idea, or else he would think that I am making you a slave for our family." "I will talk to him. I am sure he will be happy to have me here, but you can't blame me if he ends up divorcing you after this." "You have a deal, Kelly." So yes, I did trick my stupid mother-in-law to take up this ridiculous challenge. Did I know that I was being a little unfair to her by not giving her the entire story? Yes, I did know that. But in my defense, she was the one who started being unfair by calling me names and undermining my capabilities to run the house. She wanted to prove herself, and I wanted to reveal the truth. This was the best way to go about it. I knew very well that if Kelly started to live in our house, Darren wouldn't be able to keep his stupid secret. I wasn't breaking my promise while also making sure that my in-laws knew how much I do for the family. As Kelly promised, she convinced Darren to give her a chance to run the household. We all know by now what a spineless idiot he is, so he couldn't say no to his mother. He begged me to convince her not to do this, and I did just that. The result was Kelly practically demanding that I leave the house and let her take the reins. That effectively ended any hope Darren had of keeping his mother away from his house, to be honest. I was really glad that Kelly pushed us into this. I desperately needed a break and didn't know what to do with my situation. I was pretty exhausted after working and taking care of the household. The burnout was real, and Amanda's demand for me to stay away was actually a blessing for me. Soon, I moved out and let Kelly move into the house. I went to stay with my single friend who welcomed me to her home with open arms. She disliked living alone, so she was really glad to have me in her house, even if it was temporarily. She also lived closer to my work, so I didn't have to drive 45 minutes every day just to get to my office. The two of us started living together, and I must say that it put things in perspective for me. My life had changed completely, and the difference was right in front of my eyes. I was finally getting enough sleep, having time to feed myself properly, and still having some space for leisure activities. My friend and I divided every house chore evenly, so I wasn't the one doing everything around the house. I didn't have to take care of her after she came back from work either. It was finally like I had a partner and not a leech. As the days flew by, I had a big realization. I had been draining myself in my marriage for nothing. I did 90% of the household chores while being the primary breadwinner and contributing money towards the mortgage. I was being treated like a servant, a babysitter, and an ATM machine. I had no time or money left for myself. This was not how a marriage should work. I was in a toxic and downright abusive situation. By the 2-week mark of my stay, I knew that I needed to get out of my marriage. Meanwhile, my husband was having a hard time keeping up the false image in front of his mother. He was begging me to come home, but I ignored his texts. Kelly, too, sent me texts boasting about how she had been managing the household just fine, and that soon she would be able to show me what a loser I was. That attitude lasted till the month's paycheck came home. Oh boy, my mother-in-law did a total of 180. About a month later, I got a rather frantic call from my mother-in-law asking to talk. I am smart enough to know that it wasn't so that she could gloat about her amazing capabilities. The woman sounded exhausted just like I did a month back. Gone was the attitude that she always had when talking to me. If anything, she sounded desperate when she called me. I went back to the house after her call because of reasons. You can also say that I was curious about how well the house was kept while Kelly was there, so I got off work and went to the house to talk to Kelly. The moment she opened the door, I knew that she was beyond her wits. She looked haggard, and her voice came out very weak. As we walked into the house, I noticed that it was worse than how I had left it. Kelly didn't brag about anything because she couldn't. She simply sighed and said, "Why didn't you tell us, Amanda?" "About what, Kelly?" "About the fact that my son downgraded his job and wasn't doing anything around the house." "Oh, that? He made me promise not to tell you, so I didn't. Couldn't really disappoint my husband by breaking promises, right? That's what you always told me. But you needed to tell us that things were bad. I just thought that you thought that I was a useless woman who sits around and does nothing for the family. You thought that my contribution to the house was just $1,000 towards the mortgage." Kelly did have the decency to look away in shame. I guess she finally got to the point where she couldn't even lie about doing a better job than me. What started off as a challenge for Kelly soon turned into a nightmare for her. Kelly had really suffered that month because she said, "I am so sorry for what I said, Amanda. I had no idea that my son had stepped down from his previous job and wasn't earning much. I also had no idea that he was so useless at home. He didn't even want to help with the kids after 2 weeks. You are lucky he stepped up for 2 weeks, so at least you could take it easy in the beginning. I had no such luck." Oh God, things are bad here, Amanda. I have a hard time coping with everything. This past month has been hell. I see. Well, now we know that you were wrong. Yes, I was wrong, Amanda. I totally underestimated you. I had no idea how responsible you were. Darren and the kids are lucky to have you, my dear. They will be so happy when you move back in. Kelly looked desperate when she talked about me coming home. I knew that she couldn't wait to go back to her mundane lifestyle where she wouldn't have to worry about kids and immature adults. I knew this the moment she had called me in panic and tried to be nice to me. She was dying to be home and forget all about her son's household. But I had a little surprise in store for her and Darren that would throw water on her plans to escape. I acted all confused and said, "Sorry, what did you say, Callie?" "You need to move back in, Amanda. A month has gone by and I have already admitted my defeat. It's time for you to come home. Now." "Oh yes, about that. I don't know, Kelly. What do you mean, Amanda? Don't really feel like coming back home." "What? Why? I mean, this is your marital home. You have to come back here." "Turns out I don't have to if I end up divorcing your son." "That is something I have been considering, Kelly." The look on Kelly's face was absolutely priceless. Remember how she joked about Darren realizing that I am a loser and he should divorce me? Well, my mother-in-law wasn't expecting me to be the one thinking about divorce. She looked extremely panicked and horrified at the news. She stumbled over her words and said, "What? No, you seriously can't be contemplating a divorce." "Oh, I am not contemplating one. Actually, I have already filed for one and brought the papers here myself. I have planned to serve Darren today when he comes home." No, you can't do this. You can't break up this marriage. You can't be serious about this." Kelly was really panicking about my decision because she knew what it meant for her. If I got a divorce and moved away, Kelly would be stuck shouldering the burden of Darren and her grandkids for the foreseeable future. She already had a glimpse of what her life would be like. She wasn't ready for this to be permanent. Her plan to prove herself had backfired so bad that her short nightmare was turning out to be the problem of a lifetime. She started to convince me not to go through with the divorce when her dear son walked into the house. He didn't look any better than his mom either, but as soon as he saw me there, his eyes lit up and he said, "Hey Amanda, finally you are back home. I can't begin to tell you how much I have missed you. You see this, Mom? Looks like you can finally move back to your home." "Not so fast, Darren. You will need your mother around for a little longer. Or I should say that she will be here for much longer." "What? What do you mean, Amanda? You are already here, so there is no need for Mom to be here too. You are perfectly capable of running this place alone." "Oh yes, Darren. I am capable of running this place, but I won't be doing that anymore. And I won't be staying here either. This is your house, Amanda. This is your marital home. You need to stay with your husband and kids." "Not if I have no husband, Darren. I have actually decided to pursue a divorce and filed for one. Here, I brought the papers here to serve you." I reached into my bag and brought out the divorce papers that I had my lawyer make. I wasn't bluffing, guys. I was really getting divorced from Darren. I had enough of his mooching and abusive ways. I wanted an out, and I was going to get one. So I talked to a lawyer and filed for divorce way before Kelly made that panicked call. I was ready with the papers and served my husband in front of his mother. The two of them looked shocked. Darren, just like his mother, started to spew some nonsensical stuff like, No, this can't be true. You can't do this, Amanda." "I can do this. Darren, this challenge of your mom's really gave me some perspective away from the family. I don't like how you took advantage of me and used me as a maid, not to mention the fact that I was also the family ATM machine. I know I messed up, Amanda. My mom messed up too because she didn't know how hard you were working to keep the family together. We made some very big mistakes." Yeah, we both made mistakes, Amanda. We are very sorry for it. Don't break up a perfectly healthy marriage over a small issue. Only you two can think that this is a small issue. This is not a healthy marriage. This has turned abusive a long time ago. We can come back from this, Amanda. I will get better. I will get a better job and start helping around the house. We can even go for therapy. I think it's too late for that now, Darren. You wanted to maintain your lifestyle and have your kids around without moving a finger, and Kelly wanted to one-up me and show me what a loser I was. Well, you two can find new ways to do that. Since I will be removing myself from the equation, Darren and his mother immediately started to beg me not to do this. There was anger and then there were tears. They went from trashing my reputation to begging me to reconsider. I guess none of those two idiots had thought that I would give up and walk out. I do realize now that I had been a star doormat for a very long time. They thought that they could do anything to me and I wouldn't fight back. But this time I showed them that I was not quite the doormat they thought I was. That day, I used the opportunity to pack my stuff and move out of the house. Yes, the kids were there and they were very confused about what was going on. I sat them down in their rooms and gently explained to them that I was moving out. I tried my best to make them understand the situation without talking trash about their father and grandmother. They were upset, of course, because I was basically their primary caregiver at the house. They cried a lot, and it absolutely broke my heart. They were innocent and blameless in all this, but there was nothing I could do to placate them. I needed to get out of the place for my own mental peace. Don't worry, I also called their mother the next day and told her what was going on. You will know about the consequences of that later. So I moved out of the house that day itself. Darren and Kelly tried everything from begging me to emotional blackmail to get me to stay. Even after I left the house, they constantly kept harassing me with phone calls and texts. They tried to say that I was being selfish and abandoning them when they needed me. They also said that I needed to be there for the kids. That one made me laugh because apparently a stepmother should take more responsibility than their real father. Very, very dumb, if you ask me. Anyway, the main reason they talked about the kids was because they knew I had a soft spot for them, but it wasn't anything that I didn't prepare myself for. Yes, it hurt to leave the kids, but I knew they had a safe place with their own mother. So this blackmail of theirs failed. Eventually, the divorce happened, of course. I ended up getting half of the house in the split. Since Darren couldn't buy me out, we had to sell the place altogether. Even though he was the one on the mortgage, it was considered marital property. He didn't get any alimony because he had stepped down from his job out of his own accord and without my permission, so the judge didn't think that he should be awarded alimony when he could easily get a higher paying job than me. The financial abuse angle also helped in this decision a lot. In the end, Darren found himself almost homeless and he became his mother's problem. His ex took him to court and got full custody of the kids because I provided her with evidence that he was neglecting the kids. So now, he no longer got child support payments and couldn't even see his kids every day. Last I heard, his father was done housing him for free and asked him to leave. So looks like Kelly didn't really have what it takes to run a peaceful household.